So we took a poll the other day and we were asking house cleaners in our Facebook group about their pet peeves because we were getting ready to do our 2020 roundup show of house cleaner pet peeves. And there was one of the pet peeves that was kind of peculiar and it stood out and it caught my attention and it wasn't common at all. But one house cleaner said a pet peeve of theirs was customers who have too many cups because cabinets and cupboards are only so big and you can only fit so many cups inside. And that got me thinking, well, why is that a pet peeve? That's kind of an odd pet peeve. And then I started thinking about my own cupboards and my own cups. Then I realized, wait a second, I have too many cups. I have too many cups. And I started thinking, why do I have too many cups? Well, back to when I got married, it was about 18 years ago, my husband and I were just settling into adult life. And we had just enough money saved that we could either take the money that we had and we could invest it in a down payment on our home, or we could take the money and we could have this really nice, lavish wedding reception. And because of the age we were, and because of our practical natures, we decided to take the money that we had and invest it into the down payment on a home. The compromise was going to be that instead of having a big wedding reception, we would have an open house at the new house and we would invite people over. But in order for that to happen, I had to cater the meals and the rehearsal dinner, and then also the after party. And so I decided that I would rent the glassware for all of the meals that we were going to be having, and then we would just wash them. So I went to the catering company and I said, how much will it cost to rent all of these glass dishes? Well, it was going to be $1 a piece. For every glass dish would be $1 a piece. That's the glasses, the little bowls, the plates, the saucers, whatever, $1 a piece. Now, if I broke them, it would also be $1 a piece to replace them. So I started thinking, well, it's going to cost about $300, $400 to do this, but right down the street, there's a pottery store. It's a great big pottery outlet. At the time, it was called Carolina Pottery, and it sat right on the border of North and South Carolina, right by Carowinds. And so I went down there to see how much their glassware cost. Lo and behold, when I got down there, the exact same design the catering company had was sold at Carolina Pottery for, check it out, $1 a piece. So the wheels started going through my head, and again, this is the practical side of me. If I buy the glassware, then I will have it for this party. But if I break it, I don't have to replace it because it belongs to me. But if I own it, I can use it for every party that I have from here through infinity. Okay? That was my thinking. So I went down, I spent about $300, $400, and I got all the glassware that I would need for this huge wedding party. Well, the truth of the matter is, flash forward 18 years, I still have about 95% of all that glassware. It didn't really break, and believe it or not, because it's glass, it's got this fancy, fun little design on it. It goes with every single place setting that we've ever had, whether it's holidays or you have chargers underneath them or you have fancy table mats or whatever. It goes with everything we have. Now, I have a really nice set of china that somebody gave us, and I have a set of Corningware that my husband had when he was a bachelor. And I have gobs of fun plastic Walmart-like picnic ware for when we go camping, or if we have outdoors, or if we have friends over, or if we're out at the hot tub, or if we're out on the deck, or if we're down by the fire pit. They're not things that are going to crack and break, but it's like outdoor fun, happy colored, bright colored picnic ware. But I have hundreds of those kinds of cups as well. So I started looking in all of my cabinets, and all of my cabinets are filled with cups. I have an entire cabinet that's filled with coffee mugs. And the most peculiar part of it is I don't drink coffee, and neither does my husband. But we have employees that come over, and so the employees come over and we do have a coffee bar and whatever, but they don't use those cups. They're not allowed to have any open mugs next to or near a computer. And so they have to bring their own coffee mugs that have an airtight lid. So I started thinking, wait a second, I have all these cups. Why do I have all these cups? Well, I have a place for all of them, and they're all put away, and they all have a happy home, and one day I may use them again. But for the most part, I could get rid of 95% of them, and I wouldn't miss them at all, right? So the reason I'm sharing this with you today is for every person, it's different. It could be t-shirts, that you have gobs of t-shirts, or that you have gobs of whatever it is. I started thinking about my clothing. I've got a whole closet full of business suits because I used to do a lot of job interviews and I did a lot of training and I talked to the consultants that would hire me to come in and do their entire programs for their staff. And so during those appointments, I would wear a business suit. And then in the last 18 years, I've been wearing, my uniform. And so when was the last time I wore a suit? But I have a lot of suits. And I started thinking it is time to cull down. Just because I have the space doesn't mean I need to hang on to the stuff, right? What do you have in your house that you could get rid of just because you don't need it, you don't want it, you don't use it, and you could minimalize that in your life? There are things in everybody's homes that you don't use. I know for a fact one of the things I'm trying to go through right now is we switched over from those little floppy disks on the computer to CDs. I saved all my documents and all of my stuff that I ran my business with on CDs. I backed them up on CDs. And I remember some of them had like 56 megabytes of space. All right, my disks now are 5 terabytes. So the 56 megabytes, they just don't go very far. But if I'm ever going to transfer that information, if I ever want to save any of it, I better do it right now. Because the new computers that I'm buying, they don't even have CD players anymore. We are that obsolete. And so I got to hurry really fast, and I better transfer that information if I'm going to do that, because I have spindles, lots of spindles of CDs and DVDs. They're obsolete already, right? So what in your life do you have that even though you have space, you're not using it, you don't want it, you don't need it, and you could get rid of it? So I started thinking about this too many cups thing, and I do have way too many cups. So if you ever come over to my house, just ask for a drink, because I'll give you lots of choices of things you can drink out of. But I want you to stop and I want you to think during this pandemic, what could you get rid of that you just don't need? Because we all have, a whole bunch of too much stuff we don't use. All right, I want you to think about it. It's a way to keep your house cleaner and a way to get rid of some of the stuff, to minimalize the stuff, to free up some space in your home, and to just create a more clean environment. All right, I hope that helps a little bit. If nothing else, maybe food for thought. Leave your comments in the notes below. I'm very interested to hear what you have to say. And until we meet again, leave the world a cleaner place than when you found it.